We Are Displaced by Malala Yousafzai Epilogue. When I left Swat Valley, Pakistan on October 9, 2012, my eyes were closed. I woke up a week later in the intensive care unit of a hospital in Birmingham, England. My last memories of home were of sitting on the school bus, giggling with my friend Moniba. Even as I grew to like my new life in England, I spent years longing for my home, my friends, my bedroom, my school. The sounds and smells of Bangora I had known but hadn't always appreciated. I didn't know at first that I couldn't go back, and then when I was told, I didn't believe it. I couldn't. How was it possible that when I wasn't even conscious, I had lost my home and the world I knew so well? It hadn't been stolen from me by violence and terror. To remain safe, I had to stay far away from Pakistan. Over the years, as the political climate changed, I thought maybe it was time to think about going back. We looked into it, and still the answer was no. We looked into it again, and still no. But I was determined. I am a very stubborn person, and if there is a way, I will find it. On March 31st, 2018, I stood in my home in the Swat Valley again, and felt as if the past were reversing itself. My family and I had packed our bags and flown from England to Dubai, and then from Dubai to Islamabad. We took a helicopter from Islamabad to Swat Valley. I saw the beauty of my valley for the first time in over 5 years from a bird's eye view, the never-ending mountain range, the greenery, the rivers. Worried that I would lose that moment and how it made me feel, I recorded every bit in my memory, and of course, my iPhone. I wondered if my parents had noticed this beauty as they sat beside me when I was evacuated from Swat. My father said, "We saw neither the sea nor the mountain. When your eyes were closed, our eyes were closed too." The air whooshed around us as we landed on the same helipad where I was flown away on a stretcher. We were all silent. Returning home was different for each of us. Atal, my youngest brother, was so young when he left. His time in Pakistan is a shadow of a memory. He's a British boy now. But for my brother Kushal and I, and our parents, the emotion we felt as we first stepped out of the helicopter and onto the earth of our valley was strong. My mother wept with joy. I took it all in. The feel of the ground, the warmth of the sun, the air that felt both foreign and familiar. And then we did what I had dreamed about, but worried would never happen again. We went home. My heart quickened as we passed familiar landmarks, a friend's house, the streets where my brothers and I used to play, the walk to school. Soon I stood in my bedroom with my mother. When I didn't return home from school that day in 2012, my mother wondered if I would ever see my room again, if she would ever share another quiet moment with her daughter in our home. Just seeing me standing there made my mother so happy. I could see a peace on her face I had not seen in years. Family friends live in our home now, and they were kind enough to ensure that everything in my room was as we left it. Later my mother said, "Malala left Pakistan with her eyes closed. Now she returns with her eyes opened. And my eyes are wide open. I see how lucky I was, how lucky I am. This trip was the most exciting, memorable, beautiful, and haunting time for me and my family. Although it wasn't easy, there were several failed attempts and big disappointments. I was able to return home, however briefly. I was given the chance some will never have. For many of the young women in this book, their stories are still unfolding. Returning home for them probably feels impossible, and maybe it is. But if it's what they want, I hope they will. Besides our home, we had not seen our friends and family for such a long time. More than 500 of our friends and relatives came to see us in Islamabad to greet us with hugs and prayers. We took so many pictures, and I love looking at them now that I'm back in the UK. But my greatest hope is that it will not be another 5.5 years before I see their faces again. Pakistan has changed since I left. Population growth has led to congestion in some areas. There are many more houses and people in the Swat than there were in 2012. But there is also more peace. I stood on the side of a hill and looked across at the mountains where the Taliban once headquartered their forces in our area. Now there are only trees and green fields. Still, there is much work to do in my country. Although I don't live there, it is still my country. It is never far from my thoughts or actions. My dream is to see all Pakistani children have access to 12 years of free, safe, and quality education and working to build a great future for our country. And in just a few years, Malala Fund has invested heavily in girls' education in Pakistan, from opening the first secondary school for girls in Shangla to supporting girls' education activists across the country. I didn't leave my country by choice, but I did return by choice. Having such a life-changing choice taken away from me has made me extra sensitive to the choices I have. I chose to speak out. I chose to advocate for others. I chose to accept the support of people from all over the world. I was displaced, and I chose to use the memories of that time in my life to help me connect with the 68.5 million refugees and displaced persons around the world, to see them, to help them, to share their stories.